This true story was originally posted on Reddit by a former lifeguard who worked at a large public swimming facility in the US. The events described took place around 2008 and have since become one of the internet's most chilling workplace horror confessions.
I haven't closed the pool since that night, and I never swim alone anymore. Not after what I saw in that water. And what followed me home. They told me the pool was haunted by a little girl. I didn't believe it until we both had the same nightmare. And then it started happening for real. I've been a lifeguard at the biggest pool in our city for years. Olympic lanes, slides, indoor and outdoor. Nothing ever really scared me. I'd heard stories, ghosts, cold hands in deep water, lights switching on alone. All rumors, until Abby told me her dream. She was guarding the diving boards when a boy jumped from the high dive and didn't come back up. She dove in, but the deeper she swam, the farther he sank, until he was just gone. Then something grabbed her leg. I laughed it off. Just a nightmare. Then mid-shift, it happened. A boy climbed the high dive, jumped, and started drowning. Abby saved him, but she was pale, trembling. That was the same kid from my dream, she whispered. I brushed it off. Coincidence. But that night I had the dream too. I'm guarding the diving boards. Kids are doing tricks, some belly flopping, some nailing it. One boy tries a barrel roll and hits the water wrong. He panics. I jump in. As I dive deeper, everything changes. The water turns freezing. The kid sinks faster than I can reach him. Then something grabs me. A dead, ice-cold hand wraps around my leg and pulls me deeper. I wake up gasping, drenched in sweat. Next day, Abby looks like hell. You okay? Ask. She just mutters. You have no idea. I tell her about my dream, expecting a reaction. She doesn't flinch. That's not the dream I meant, she says. I had another one. The pool was already closed. She was alone, head guard duty, adding chemicals in the indoor pool. That's when she saw him. An old man, fully clothed, floating face down in the catch tank. She didn't even try to save him, he was clearly dead. She called 911. When EMS arrived, she walked to the emergency exit to let them in. But as her hand touched the door, her consciousness floated above her body. She saw herself, and behind her, the old man was standing. She tried to run, but his hand clamped over her mouth and he dragged her back into the water. I sat there speechless. Neither of us said anything for a while. I'm not closing the pool again, she finally said, grinning. Tonight's your turn. I tried to laugh. It didn't work. The day crawled by, but eventually closing time came. The guards left. I stayed behind. Just like Abby's dream, I walked into the indoor pool to add chemicals. Felt wrong. The air was heavy. I refused to look at the catch tank, but I had to. Nothing. I exhaled. Relief. Then I went to arm the alarm system, but the green light didn't turn on. Somewhere a door was open. I already knew which one. The emergency exit. It was wide open. I pulled it shut, refusing to look outside. Just a draft, I told myself. Clang. Metal crashing from the Olympic pool. I turned just in time to see a shadow move across the entrance. That was enough. I bolted. Back to the office. Green light on. Armed the alarm. Grabbed my stuff. I sprinted to the car. I fumbled with the keys. Door was already unlocked. Weird. Twisted the ignition. Nothing. Tried again. Nothing. And then I saw him. Through the wall-sized windows. The silhouette of a man stood at the emergency exit. Facing me. The car turned on. I reversed out of there like my life depended on it, because maybe it did. I didn't stop driving until I got home. Inside, the house was silent. My family was asleep. I crept upstairs. Just me on the top floor. No reason for anyone else to be there. But then footsteps. Heavy. Deliberate. Stomping up the stairs. They reached the landing. Paused outside my bedroom. Then moved toward the bathroom. I froze. The motion sensor air freshener near the door triggered. The smell of flowers. The footsteps stopped outside the bathroom. They never retreated. I locked the door, and I slept there, sitting on the cold tile. The pool hasn't been closed since that night.
This confession first appeared in a Reddit thread about strange childhood memories. The original poster claimed this happened when they were 8 years old, shortly after moving to a new home. To this day, they swear it wasn't a dream, that they went to the bottom of their backyard swimming pool and surfaced in a twisted version of their own life. What followed was something out of a nightmare, only they never fully woke up.
We moved when I was 8. New house, new school, no friends. Just one thing to look forward to, the backyard swimming pool. It was supposed to make everything okay. That first day, I begged my parents to let me swim. I jumped in, desperate to prove I wasn't scared of deep water anymore. But I kept sinking. I thought I'd hit the bottom any second, but it never came. I opened my eyes. My body felt too long, like I was stretched out. I turned downward, trying to swim toward the floor, but it kept pulling away. My lungs started to burn. I kicked upward, choking, and somehow burst through the surface. I was gasping, coughing water out of my nose. My mom ran over. I told her I just swallowed water. She nodded, went back inside. But something felt wrong. I tried again, this time walking and using the stairs. I stepped off the last one and fell straight through the pool floor. I was under again, water pouring down my throat. I flailed, drowning until everything went black. I don't remember coming up, but suddenly I was sitting on the edge of the pool again, coughing violently. My mom was watching me, except she wasn't my mom. Her eyes were too wide, her smile too full of teeth, her skin leathery, yellowing, hair like brittle straw. I told myself I was imagining things. Chlorine in my eyes. Just nerves. She offered me a towel and walked me inside. The house looked off. Faded paint. Dirty floors. The hallway smelled like rotting candy. She showed me my room, just a mattress on the floor, buzzing flies, and no working light. But I changed, told myself everything was fine. Dinner was worse. My father was in the kitchen. Taller. Paler. His voice gravelly and detached. My mom hovered behind him, looking sicker by the second. They served pasta. It looked like it was moving. The plates had skulls on them. The forks had twisted tentacles coming out of the handles. I barely touched it. I told them I wasn't hungry and ran upstairs. That night, I barely slept. The smell of sweet rot soaked into my pillow. I dreamed of sharp teeth and waterlogged shadows. The next morning, I tried to escape. Outside, my swimsuit was hanging on a clothesline I didn't remember. My mom never did laundry. We hadn't even unpacked. I grabbed it. Maybe if I swam again, I could reverse whatever had happened. As I turned to go inside, she was standing there. This time her mouth had become something else entirely, jagged and beak-like. Her skin sagged. Her eyes didn't move. Her hands clutched my shoulder hard enough to bruise. She took the swimsuit from my hands. "You're not going swimming today," she said. Then she tore it in half. I panicked. Ran. She screamed for my father. He burst from the house, heavier, more twisted, thundering behind her. Her arms stretched long, inhuman, swiping at my back, grabbing my hair. The yard felt longer with every step, like it didn't want me to reach the pool. But I did. I dove in. No breath. No hesitation. Just water. Cold and endless. My lungs burned. My vision blurred. Then air. I woke on the ground, soaking wet in the real world. My real mom crying over me, holding my face. There were paramedics. Flashing lights. They said I was missing for hours. Found unconscious in the pool, wearing different clothes. I didn't tell them what happened. No one would believe me. We moved not long after. I haven't gone near a pool since. Sometimes I still wonder if they're looking for me. And sometimes when I catch my reflection in the mirror, I wonder if they already found me.
This confession came from a veteran lifeguard, recalling a horrifying moment from their third summer on the job. In a pool packed with nearly 1,000 people, a girl suffered from a brain seizure in 6 feet of water, and what followed was a frantic rescue that could have ended in tragedy.
It was my 3rd year as a lifeguard at one of the busiest pools in the city, the Park. A massive wave pool with up to 1,000 people packed in on a normal summer day. I was mid-shift, scanning every 15 seconds under the blinding sun, sipping from a cup of precious ice water. That's when I saw it. A ring of teens, freaking out and backing away from something in the water. In the center, a girl violently flailing, not horseplay, not drowning, a seizure. I blew my whistle, jumped in. Another guard hit the water beside me. She was barely keeping above the surface, jerking, twisting, the body confused between staying up or going under, no way to backboard her. The seizure was too violent. So we did the only thing we could. We shoved our lifeguard tubes under her, one after the other, building a floating brace to keep her from inhaling water or smashing her face. 3 guards, then 4, held her up until the paramedics came. She came out of it just as we were reaching shallower water. I've seen a lot of dumb pool stuff, but nothing like that. That was the first time I thought someone could really die on my watch. It was a beautiful pool, clean, well-maintained, surrounded by thick forest. But it was in the middle of nowhere. That day, I took the kids for a swim. I forgot my book and got bored fast. Watching kids splash around only holds your attention for so long. Eventually, I struck up a conversation with the lifeguard, a thin, serious young woman who looked barely out of college. "Ever seen anything weird here?" I asked, mostly just to pass the time. She glanced at me, then back at the water. "Are you sure you really want to hear?" I laughed. "Sure." She leaned in just a little. "Once you hear, you won't be back." I nodded. She never took her eyes off the swimmers. This is the story she told me. She'd worked here for 3 summers, full-time, seniority, knew the job inside and out. But something had changed recently. Lifeguards were quitting. Fast. They couldn't keep anyone on. One morning, she showed up early and found wet footprints, leading from the pool to the fence. They were huge, twice the size of her own. There were no signs of forced entry, no holes under the fence, no open gates. She shrugged it off. Until she cleaned the pool filter, it was stuffed with thick, coarse brown hair. Not the usual human kind. It looked animal. And it kept happening. Every morning, new prints, more hair. Still no sign of how anyone nor anything was getting in. She collected a sample and took it to a biology professor at her college. He promised to analyze it. Meanwhile, she got obsessed. She started arriving earlier each day, but whatever it was, it always seemed to leave just before she got there. So she changed tactics. She parked a mile away, approached the pool on foot, slow, silent, hidden. As she crested the hill overlooking the pool, she heard splashing. Something was in the water. She crept forward. Then it exploded from the surface. Massive, covered in long, wet fur. It landed with a splash and floated on its back, spraying water into the air. Playing. She froze. She took out her phone, snapped a photo. The creature stopped, turned, locked eyes with her. Then it rose out of the water, towering, at least 8 feet tall. It leapt the fence like it was nothing, landing 40 feet away from her. She didn't run, didn't scream, just stood there, paralyzed. It came within 10 feet. She could smell the chlorine in its fur, hear its breathing. Then headlights, a car driving by on the nearby road. It turned and vanished into the trees. She ran, made it back to her car, and drove straight home. The professor called. He'd analyzed the hair, couldn't match it to any known animal. One of his sources gave a possible answer. Bigfoot. She showed him the photo. He studied it like he'd found gold. She was hoping for closure. Instead, she got confirmation. When she called her boss to take the day off, he refused, said if she didn't show up, the pool wouldn't open. Insurance wouldn't cover her absence. She was trapped. So she went back. And the creature came back too, watching, waiting, always just inside the tree line. Every time she locked the gate at night, she felt its eyes. Then one night, her trash cans were knocked over. She went outside. It was there, staring. It stepped toward her. She ran back inside and called the police. While she was on the phone, it broke a window. She hid in her closet until an officer found her. But the creature had already vanished. She called out sick. The boss screamed at her to come in anyway. When she arrived at the pool, something was floating in the water. A deer, dead, throat slashed. On the concrete, a symbol, a star circled in blood. She covered it with a tarp and sent pictures to her boss. He thought it was a prank. Then he saw the deer. He freaked, demanded she help clean it. The blood on the concrete wouldn't wash off. She had to pressure wash it while the thing watched her from the woods. That evening, she saw it again, on the roadside, holding another deer. It threw the animal at her car. The deer smashed into the back door instead of the windshield. She thinks a wrong foot on the gas pedal saved her life. That's when she realized it wasn't done with her. It wasn't just watching anymore. It wanted her gone. The next morning she drove to the pool early, stood alone at the water's edge. She held up her phone, showed the creature its own photo. It stepped from the woods, leapt the fence, towering, silent. It stared at her, then at the phone. She placed it on the concrete and backed away. It picked it up, studied the image, then turned and disappeared into the trees. I chuckled when she finished. "You should write fiction. That was great." She didn't smile. "You want to know the best part?" she whispered. "It's true." I rolled my eyes. "Sure it is." She didn't argue. "Look over my right shoulder," she said. "Tell me what you see." Grinning, I did. And then my face dropped. In the tree line, something stood, tall, brown, watching me. Its eyes locked with mine, narrowed. Then it disappeared. "How long ago did the pool reopen?" I asked. "Last week." I looked down, faint outline of a bloody star on the concrete. I turned toward the water. "Kids," I called, "out of the pool, now." But we just got in. Now.